Hello everyone, Assalamualaikum. So today we are going to discuss on one of the current issue in the world of education, which are gamification in science learning video teaching project. So before we are going to learn about the gamification, let's take a look on the definition of game first. So basically, game is another form of media or activity that one engage for amusement or fun. There are various types of game nowadays that also have different kind of purposes. For example, games can be addressed for health, education, social awareness, and many more. Plus, game is not also limited to the digital stuff only. It can be physical games such as hockey, basketball, board game, and a lot more. Both of these digital and physical games can be used in our education context to make it beneficial for the students. So that is one of the concepts of gamification. So gamification is the application of game design element and game principle in a non-game context, and also known as a set of activities and processes to solve problem by using or applying the characteristic of the game element to increase engagement or enjoyment. But gamification is totally different from a game-based learning. Gamification focuses on the assignment of badges or points to a task that hopefully will help motivate students participate or engage more in the classroom. For a simple example, imagine in the classroom, teacher asks the students to answer the question, and each of the correct answer will be given a point or a badges. It will help motivate the student to answer the question and to compete among the classmates, right? So, gamification are also different with game because game usually have rules and have end stage with either you win or lose. But gamification is a long process and does not have ending. Just like the concept that have been used in credit card or any membership card. Every time you use the card, you will get the point, and that is the value of using the card. You will use the card again and again to get the point and be upgrade or get reward from it. So that is basically what gamification means. Game design element in the non-game context. Remember that. So there are three basic classic game elements that usually apply in gamification. Firstly, point. Just like I said before, they will get point for any involvement or achievement that act as a visual indicator of the progress. Next is badges. It has the same concept as point, which display achievement whether it comes from a military duty or a gold star on the report card. Lastly, leaderboard are usually to illustrate the competitiveness in sport, sales team, and life in general. All of these elements will motivate the user or the student to engage more and participate more. Next is game-based learning. As I've mentioned before, the gamification are totally different compared to game-based learning. Game-based learning is a type of active learning experience within a game framework, which has specific learning objective and measurable outcome. It is like a game created for educational purpose that have their specific objective that need to be learned by the students. So at the end of the game, students should be able to achieve the objective while enjoying the games. So here is the differences between gamification and game-based learning. First and foremost, gamification is the use of game element in non-gaming context, while game-based learning is the process of learning by using games that have specific objective. Next, gamification are designed to increase engagement and motivate students to learn, while game-based learning will encourage critical thinking and problem solving in students. Game-based learning also will help students to abstract knowledge.
Now, let us take a look to the relevance of gamification in science learning education. Why we need gamification in our science class? The first reason why we need gamification in our science classroom is because gamification can increase students' interest, engagement, and also motivation in the classroom. Gamification elements such as points, competition, leaderboard, badges, rewards or prizes, challenges, and many more can promote this value among the students. Students will be more competitive and enjoying the lesson or classroom more because they need or they have to finish the goals that have been set up in the gamified platform. Therefore, we will have students' engagement to finish all the goals that have been set up. And as we know that many people or students love games, and when we bring the games into our education, in our learning sessions, there will be more interest to learn through the gamified platform. The reason why we need student interest and engagement in our science classroom is because we can see the problem here from the stated in an article in the Star. Our National STEM Movement Chairperson, Professor Dr. Nuraini Idris, stated that only 19% of the students who pass their PT3 will take up STEM subjects in their upper form, which is quite a small number of students. And the reason that this problem occurred is because of the classroom, because of the environment of classroom, and that emphasizing more on learning the theory and lack of exploring, and also the emphasizing on the exam-oriented environment in the classroom that cause students to be boring in their science classroom, and also lack of interest that leads to this problem. Therefore, we can see that gamification platform is one of the fun way in learning science. The next reason why we need gamification is to overcome student fear of failure. Failure is a normal thing that happens in studying. However, not everyone can accept the failure because failure is something that can lead to embarrassment and also lack of confidence. In a study by Caleric 2015 stated that the failure in gamification will enhance the students better to learn and develop new strategies from the task given in the gamified platform. We can see that from this study, it is contrast to how we normally define failure as. So, if imagine that we are playing a game and it is a game over. Do we feel embarrassed because we get a game over? Not right. We will be more competitive to finish the task. So it's the same how students feel in the gamified platform. Students can try again to do the task on their current level that they have not passed until they success. So this will cause students to be engaged more on the task. And while they are engaged on the task, they are still learning, right? Next, gamification can increase a student's learning achievement. In a study conducted by Samugam et al. 2016 about the affiliation between student achievement and elements of gamification in learning science, which the gamified platform use elements such as badges, points, leaderboard, The results shows that 93.1% students show the improvement in their learning achievement. Because students from the gamified platform, students know where they stood in their classroom because they know their rank from the gamified platform. So, this will cause the student to be more competitive, to be on the top of the rank. So, they can repeating their tasks to gain badges, points to climb the leaderboard. So students will engage with the task given, as I mentioned from the reasons, the previous reasons. So when they engage, they learn new things. Now we know that generally gamification can increase students' interest, engagement, and motivation that will lead to the improvement in their learning achievements. Isn't it is a very good advantage to the teachers and also the students in science learning, right?
Implementing gamification in learning science in the classroom is not always easy or successful. Many instructors confront barriers to finding, installing, and use gamification to boost their students' education. There are a lot of challenges facing by teachers and students, but here I only state 4 challenges that are most essential, which are require electronic device and internet connection, does not meet the learning needs of all students, learn the goals to unlock achievement, and teacher lack of professional training. First, to implement a gamified learning, teacher and students are required to buy an electronic device and internet connection. This will pose issues especially to students living in rural areas because, as we all know, an electronic device is not cheap and not all students afford to buy it. Moreover, most of the places in rural areas are having a problem to get a good internet connection. Besides, it also requires higher costs in gamified learning depending on the system teachers are using. There may be software expenditures as well as teacher training fees. These costs are often passed on to students in the form of registration fees or course code that must be purchased. Furthermore, it does not meet the learning needs of all students. There are 4 types of learners such as visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. Visual learners are understand and remember by sight. Most of them are learned by reading and seeing picture, while auditory learners are learned by hearing and listening. They understand and remember things of what they heard. And kinesthetic learners learn and absorb information through touch, movement, and motion. So, gamification in learning only benefits to visual learners, while auditory and kinesthetic learners will be suffering due to the types of learning styles. In addition, students learn the goal to unlock achievement. They are only learning for the sake of achieving a checkpoint. They also not retaining information because learning just enough to complete the challenges, and it also will distract learners from learning objective. It is because poor design in game leads to disengagement and confusion. So, the teacher fails to implement gaming to effectively support curriculum and learning. Lastly, teachers are lack of professional training. First thing first, to implement a gamified learning, teacher must be able to know of how to get the most out of each new tool themselves, and also need to have an expertise of using technology. Besides that, it also time-consuming where teachers need to explain to students of how to use it. It will be more time-consuming when their students use different types of device. For example, between a low-cost Android phone versus an iPad.
Students may find it challenging due to the different capabilities. Teachers may be required to provide several instructions for a variety of devices. However, all these challenges will be overcome because the relevance of implementing gamification in learning science are much more numerous and beneficial.